Okay, yes. I would hope to definitely give you some insight that's really great. But yeah, I'm the crazy person who learned all the kanji in like 30 days. Just because I wanted to learn Japanese so badly, and um and also thank you for allowing me to record this too, because I want to help other people and I want to show it to other people. Okay, cool. So anyways, though, so like I mentioned earlier, so this is the kanji family. It's coal. It's a carpenter square. And when you know that all these are connected with each other, then all of these onyomi, they're all going to be ko. So there's a lot of things that they did in China with the carpenter square. They worked with it. They would attack people with it. It's a real thing. They would make things out of it, so they had a lot of skill. The things that they made would also have merit, bring merit, to their work. Clause, this represents just the idea of like something being the head of something. So the carpenter square being the head, and this is a picture of a head as well. So that's the idea of clause. You might know clause better than I do from a grammatical statement. So there's that. Yeah. And then when you have the carpenter square, you also have when you have water. So these three dots represent water. This represents the shape. So it's literally used as like a pictograph here for an inlet. Um, this here, the blood that comes from working with the carpenter square is red. So we have the thread here with the carpenter square, which is red. And then here, a lot of people don't know this, but this on the bottom, this is a picture of a seashell. And whenever you see a seashell, then it represents money. So this represents money. So you have a carpenter square and money, and that would be like a tribute. Lastly, this one is kind of like, I like to call it the bow and arrow reference. So to the right here, if you take out this left kanji, this means sky. Yes, 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 that is a hand. I like to call it the aggressive hand because it does a lot of forceful things. But basically, you have whole on the top right, you have carpenter square on the bottom right, and then together it's this idea of like pulling back a bowstring, and before you shoot it, you're holding the bow and you're not letting it go yet. So you're refraining from letting go of the kind of like arrow. So all of these connect work, attack, skill, merit, clause, inlet, red, tribute, refrain. And that's how all of these other kanji are as well. Like with this kanji family, we have bow, and all of these words they are kind of like they all relate to this idea, this kanji family, this head. Um, so what I'm going to do from here on, I'm not going to go over much of the English because now you understand the idea of like, okay, so all of these kind of relate to the English. I kind of want to show you how to read or how to see the kanji. Usually it's like a 1 plus 1 equation. You notice here, this is just the carpenter square, and that means work. And this is plus, and this is a hand with a stick. So this is attack. This is a seaweed that they're trying to straighten out. That's what this is. This here is like a bicep curling, so it's power. Um, this here is a pictograph of a head. In the middle, you see the eye. The three squares represents the eye. When you have something on top, hmm. Oh, okay. So when you see the picture, it's not as. Mm. Okay, okay. So if I just tell you the word, that's you don't need to see it. Hmm. 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 Right. Okay, okay. That's all. I don't need to explain more. Gotcha. So we have water, thread, seashell, and we have whole and aggressive hand. So Now we're gonna go to the next one. Now let's speed up. I think you can do this. So this is bowl. So what you see here is on the left, this is a hill. When you see this on the right side, it means village. But if it's on the left, it's hill. So right village. Ah, that's great. So here we have earth, woman. This is flesh or body. This can also be seen as moon sometimes, but it's mostly flesh and body. Thread, door. You got person and stand here. So next one here, we have say. With this one, you add, so this ends up being transformed to what you see on the bottom. They miswrote it, but anyways, this is a well. This is a picture of a well. And then when you see it in these ones, it'll be in the bottom. So this is a plant and well. Yes, yes, they modified the writing. So now we have water and plant with the well, sun, plant, and the well, rice, plant, and the well, speaking, and then plant and the well. And then we have this here, which is just the plant and the well. And this here is a pictograph of somebody um, grabbing somebody's hand before they punch somebody else. So like the pacifist hand. Okay, cool. So we'll just keep going. We're at the 23 mark, but we'll keep going here. So this is the next one, show. So now we have water. You just add that. Aggressive hand, sun, thread. You're starting to see the same things over and over again. Speaking, talking, and then you have fire below. Okay, so next family, we're already at 36. We have haku. This means white by itself. It's also shown by the first one. But then you have person. You add person, aggressive hand, water. This is a road or a path. Yes, yes, that is correct. Count Dracula, like a person. Yes, that is correct. Yeah, very astute. Yeah. And then ship, this is a rowboat with picture rowboat. So that's it. Han, so this is to oppose. Now you also have earth, tree, you have food. This is um, the right half of a symbol. So sometimes you put two things together. This is just the right half. And then you have yes, yes, yes. And printing a long time ago in ancient Asia. Hmm. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, that's impressive. Very cool. Oh, well, that's great. You know, it's always nice meeting new people here. So, anyways, the next one here is again, you see the seashell, which represents money, and then obviously the meaning makes sense. It kind of just makes sense when you understand this is food, well, this is cooked rice. This is wood or tree, well, this is a board. It becomes more intuitive because you can see the symbols, you see how it adds to the definition. This one here is whole, which is to wrap. You have the aggressive hand, embrace, water, froth. We got the body, placenta. Um, and then we have this is rock or stone. So this is gun for a cannon. Gun, cannon. It's kind of like, yeah. Hmm. Yes, that's correct. Yes. And then this one here is food again, same thing as food here. This means tire. It really means that when you eat too much, you get food coma or get tired. So that's the idea. But they're all intuitive, they all make sense, and they all kind of like link together. This one here is Ray. It's a picture of somebody bowing to their superior. So this means order. And then when you have ice, it means freeze. When you have metal, This represents a small bell, bow when the bell gets rung. This one is a combination of a few things. You have rice stuck in a tooth, so this means to stop on top. This is a picture of a tooth. Anyways, the order of teeth represents age, and then you have rain, and then um, which is zero weight. Like it doesn't, it's barely any, uh, yeah, weight. So next one is soul. This is a picture of stacked stones. So you have hill again. We have shrine. This picture of a shrine. Rice plants and rice. So they look similar, but they're slightly different. Rice plant and rice. And then we have thread. With this, which is to attach, you have the hill. This on top is bamboo. Above is a building, and this means government center. So to attach buildings, government buildings were attached together. And then you have this is also meat, and this represents that government centers were corrupt back then. So it represents rotten or corrupt when you add the meat underneath. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Um, Here's the next one. So this is a picture of hand with a knife, and it's cutting the skin of an animal. That's what this is a picture of. So by itself, skin. When you have person in motion, he, aggressive hand, open. And then you have, this looks like shrine, but there's a little dot on top. This represents clothing. So when you have the dot on top of the altar, it means it's like just cloth, clothing. So you have clothing, sustain, and then you have, this building is a hospital building. And this means, again, you're tired, to tire. Um, when you look at this one here, this is Kanji whole. You saw this earlier with bow. It's the same idea. H's and B's, they were kind of like shared. So whole bowl. So this is another, this is, yes, yes, it is. Yeah, definitely. Yes, definitely. So with whole, we have it by itself, and this means side. When you have it with the plant, this is the plant here, fragrant, speaking, visit, hand with a stick, release, hand with a stick, and person on the left, this is imitate. So that's what that is. Um, Now this is a picture of a sheep, the head of a sheep. So sheep, you add water, becomes ocean, tree, and then you also add water, tree and water, situation, because the sheep is drinking from the yeah, the tree and the lake. And then you have food underneath. This is to rear an animal. And then you have whole on top, and you have fire beneath. This is kiln. So that's how it kind of comes together. This one is ken, a picture of two people underneath a roof. Represents that they're talking about something. So they're talking about the hill, so it's steep. Talking about the tree, investigate it. They're talking about the horse, they're examining it. They're talking about the person that's thrifty, who doesn't want to, spend too much. And then they're talking about the sword. This is a katana, so a sword. The two people talking about stuff. This one here is, this one's pretty popular. It represents a plant. It represents life. So life. I believe so. Oh yeah, it's very it's very popular. So this one here with hearts. This is heart on the left, nature, woman on the left, surname. This is a picture of a cow, sacrifice, and a picture of a sun, it's star. So we've gone through 88. Hoshi, yeah, that's right. And Hoshi is the original Japanese word, is Hoshi. But from the Chinese, is say. Yeah, yeah. So here, this is she. Now, there's a fun little idea from this. This represents an administrator or a government official, but it's really a picture of an asshole. That's what this is. And they didn't like the government back then, the person who created this. So that's why that's what this is a picture of. And then you have person, visit. words, word. This represents a book or a shelf of books, air, and then you have food here, and this also means to rear animals. Um, yeah, that is correct. Yeah. Um, and they used it because they needed a different word or different sound because sometimes the sounds didn't connect perfectly. So they're like, okay, let's make another sound for it so that when you combine these two, it sounds nicer. So, yeah. But yeah, very astute. So this one here is a picture of somebody who is mixing sticks. So that's like a hand and they're mixing sticks. So to mix and then mix power, you have an effect. This is the right village. So when you're mixing things of a village, suburbs, um, the place where people would cross sticks would be school. That's how they taught kanji a long time ago. The teacher would cross the sticks and the student would follow. So the place where the tree is, that's the school. And then you have strangle, which is a thread. So you cross the thread over somebody's neck and you strangle them. So that's the idea of that. Next one here we have by, which is a person standing over a hole. So you're trying to get out of the hole, person, double. Um, you have the earth, you're cultivating things. You have the hill. So the hill and the hole kind of cancel each other out. This idea of attend is that they go together, they they come together. Compensate, well, look, we have the seashell again, which is money. So to you're in debt, you're in a hole, and you have the seashell. Money represents compensation. So that's the idea of that. Um, okay, so now we have this is a sun setting. So this is literally the grass. This is like the sun spreading out underneath. So sun setting. You have ground. So this means grave. You have power. When the sun set, people would want to come together to gather so that they have more protection. Gather. Right, right, correct. This one here is actually a misspelling. This is supposed to be a heart, but they kind of messed up. So, yearning. hmm And then sun going down, and then the sun is just continuing on. This is to live. So that's the idea between grave, gather, yearn, and live. So this one here is a very interesting picture. It's a picture of a spinal cord. It represents somebody's back. So when you turn your back on somebody, um, it's amusing. When you have the aggressive hand, you're rejecting the person. This is a um, what do you call it? Abbreviation, but it's still a spinal cord. When you have it with flesh, it's back, the actual back. And then this is a car or a carriage viewed from, well, that's what it is. So carriage, so you have your fellow person that you're with in the car. Next one here, this is a picture of a fence and somebody building a fence really quickly. It represents like rapid motion. So with water, coast, aggressive hand, seas, we have. And then you have this is clothes to stitch clothes really quickly, so to make it good. And then this is a little shop on the left. It's a picture of a shop. So that's what that is. And then here we'll keep going down. So here we got this picture of the what am I blanking out? Um, do, 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 do. Okay, this represents good. This is just good in general. It looks like food, but you take out the lid. So good, water, wave. Good. This is a moon. In this case, it usually means flesh or body, but it's moon. Good moon, clear. Good, and then you have right village. The good man comes from the right village. And then you have the good man underneath the building, so he's in the corridor. That's the idea of that one. Um, So this here, we got two trees or two plants underneath the roof. This represents hemp that they would produce, mass produce a long time ago. So when you have it with hand, this becomes rub When you have it with rock, it becomes polish. And when you have it with the demon, this is the picture of demon, it is the same. Yes, that is correct. That is the ma. There's a little there's a little fun story to uh this picture actually. So when you look at it, and I'm gonna edit this really quick so you can just see. So it's very interesting. Demon actually represents a troublemaker, and what this is a real picture of is a these are legs, and somebody's wearing a mask, but he's also naked and he's streaking around. And this little thing that you see here is like his private part, and he's just like running around. He's a mischief maker. So that's what a demon is. When you put it with hemp, like here, hemp was used to make things, right? And they would create things. So this little demon that's mischievous, and they're making a bunch of things from hemp. They would make clothes or whatnot, but it's just he's mischievous. But making these things were seen as magic because he's obviously mischievous and he's doing what he can, and that's also demon. Demon, ma. Yes. So ma for mahole. Hole is also good kanji. I could backtrack, but I'll keep going here. Um, because hole is a picture of it's a double-lidded barrel and water, and the double-lidded barrel represents being able to hold something, and the double because it's double-lidded, people would ration that in wartime. They would use that to ration food, water, and whatnot. But then when you actually by itself, it represents the law because when you the law holds all different things. It's this idea of fluidity, but you're also in containment at the same time. So magic, which is ma hole is the law of things, and ma represents the demon that can do all these mystical things. So that's ma hole together. So that's just like a bonus kanji idea. Uh, so this is saku. Basically, it's a tree trunk. There's an axe, and it's been chopping a tree trunk. So it's this guy's been making a lot of things. So a person make sun yesterday. So he did a lot of things yesterday. This one's a good one. This is a sake bottle. So when you have that, it's vinegar, and then you have aggressive hand and hole, and then they're wringing. This is actually a pictograph wringing cloth. So sake. Um, Next one here is Teki. So Teki is a picture of the old. So below this is old, and this is emperor. So the old emperor, and road suitable, aggressive hand, pluck, water, drop, hand with a stick. You're gonna fight. Drop as a noun, as yeah, like a drip drop. Yeah, that is correct. Yes. Um, Next is yes, match as in kind of like they use yes. You use this for enemy. Teki as one's enemy is like they're a good match for you because stuff like that. So that's the idea of that. hmm Yeah, so we got fuku here, and then this is basically okay. So we got person in motion, and this represents a double-lidded. There's a lot of double-lidded stuff in China. A double-lidded kind of like lunchbox, again to ration your food, and then you also have a dragging foot below, and it represents just like okay, you're gonna eat very slowly, and then once you're done here with eating the first part of the meal, you'll wait, and then you'll flip it, and then you'll eat again. So it represents double. You're doing things in double. So person in motion again, and then you have cloth, double for like a double layer of clothing, double in terms of your stomach or your part of your body, belly because you're going to eat twice. And then here you have person in motion and you have a basket. And you basically turn over the basket, overturn it, um, and that's the idea for double. And it's basically the idea of like you're done eating the first lunch or the first meal, you're gonna turn it over and you're going to eat the second one. This one's one of my favorite ones, righteousness. So yes, definitely. Although, what's interesting, I will show you something interesting. Hitsuji. So this is a picture of a sheep, and then this is a picture of a hand, and then spear. I can't do spear, but I can do this. Okay, so this is a sheep, this is a hand, and this is a hand with a spear. So obviously the spear is with the hand. So this is a picture of a sheep with a spear in its hand, and it means righteousness. Idea is that like those who are pure of heart, they are the ones who are righteous, and they have the in their hand like a spear. Yeah. There's also kind of yeah, yeah, yes. Yes. So it's very, very interesting. So anyways, so you have righteousness and you have person with righteousness, it's a ceremony. Words with righteousness is a discussion. And you have cow again with righteousness, which is a sacrifice. There was sacrifice up here also. Yeah, I believe it was with the life. Exactly. So you'll notice that there is a connection here. Yep. For the future, definitely. Yeah, when you go deeper into it. Yeah, this is just kind of like a taste of like how these things connect. So here we have a temple, and temple is a picture of literally, let me go ahead and Suchi, which is earth, and then you have Sun, which is this. So it's literally just two hands. That's what a temple is. Um, this represents a hand, this represents a hand. Um, and in the temple, they would use their hands very quickly because they're processing information. It's just busy work, busy, 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 busy. So that's the idea of temple. So here we have temple. When you have a person at the temple, it's a samurai. When you have the aggressive hand at the temple, it means to hold, because they would hold a lot of bamboo slates and a lot of books and stuff. And then we have the sun. This represents that the sun is working 24/7. It keeps going around and around and around. So this represents time. So we got the two hands, and what we call this is fastidious hands. They're just continuously moving, 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 moving. So that's the kanji for that. Next here, this one is also, it seems like it's very hard, but it's not. It's made out of three things. Roku, which is 6. And then we have what we had earlier, the well. It's actually a picture of a basket. But if you look up here, sorry, I'm going to go back up here. You see this? That's there. But in this, sometimes kanji is used just for pictorial representation. So this is really a picture of a basket. So I'm just going to put that there. And then lastly, underneath, we have clothing. Clothing. Yeah, I mean, like, that's basically it. Yeah. So 6 baskets of clothing. So what this represents, it's just excess, a lot of excess of things. 6 baskets of clothing. When you have it with earth, it just means earth. When you have it with woman, it just means young lady. When you have it with to speak, this means it says hand over, but the idea is like you're admitting that you're wrong, or you're admitting that, yeah. So hand over. And look, it's a sake jug, sake bottle. So this means brew. So it's all connected. All of this is connected basically. Now this kanji it looks very similar to what I was looking at earlier, this, but there's a big distinction. There's a little dot on top here, which means good. But when you don't have a little dot on top, this just means that somebody is stopping and staring at something. Um, it also means that they might be turning around because they don't like what's happening. So you have heart on the left, so this means to resent. We have tree, this is root, and then you have beast, and then you have obviously that, and then you have beast and earth, cultivate. Beast and heart, courtesy. So being kind to the beast, basically. So that's kon. 31 is you. So this one, basically, we have an idea of there's a roof. Um, this represents, I know it's going to sound weird, but it represents kind of like putting on your shoe. And the idea behind it is kind of complex, but the idea is that this is actually like represents a boat that's been carved out, so it's hollow, and then you're stepping into it to um, well, sorry. I'm going to, I don't want to get too advanced with this, but all I'm going to say is that it represents like transporting something because you have the boat that's cut out and you're going to transport something. So transportation. So you have heart and transportation. This means joy. You have words and transportation. This is instruct. Right, right, exactly. And then you have the car or the carriage to transport, and it literally just means transport. And this one, you have a hospital. This is the hospital again, and you have a heart, and this means to cure. So they're all symbolic. They're all to cure somebody. They're in the hospital. Um, so we're almost at 200. So basically, this is true, which is in the center. So this in the middle, you have person and middle, relationship, water and middle, open sea, and we have heart in the middle. It's in the center of your heart, loyalty. So that's the idea of true. With dole, you have same. So this is a picture of a mouth and another mouth saying something at the same time. Hello. So same. You have water here. This is a pictograph, cave with water. This is also pictograph with flesh, body. That's that. And metal, that is kind of the same. It's copper. Mm. Yeah. All right. So next we have aggressive hand. And then these are very unique kanji. So this is an axe in a tree stump. So this person just finished cutting down a tree. This means bend and break, and it represents the idea of a tree bending and breaking after you cut it. Um, this is a hand, and this kanji means two mountains going up. It means to emerge. So when you emerge and you're forceful, ends up being clumsy. Um, yes, and then with take, this one is kind of a violent one, so just a heads up. This one is ear, so this is an aggressive hand. This is an ear, and this represents blood. It represents somebody kind of tearing somebody's ear and taking it. It's very violent, just a heads up, but that's take. Um, contact is also kind of a pretty adult kanji. It has forceful, it has woman and stand, and it represents kind of mating, the mating process of contact. So these are the more kind of like, yeah, uh, brutal kanji. This one here is something being cut in half. When you have half and you have person, it means to accompany. Half, and then you have this is a field, ridge, and then you have half, and you cut something in half with a sword. Judge. This was something they did in history a long time ago. They would judge. Hmm. Correct, correct. It's interesting because there's some things here that might even appear biblical in nature, which I found interesting. But mhm. So, anyways, though, here this is a picture of an upside down person, and it represents old because when you're young, here for child, kodomo. Let me make it kodomo. So child, his head is up on top. Old, they put the head on the bottom. So it's the same idea. So we have old by itself. With the tree, it means wither. With hand with a stick, represents the past. And then when you have water and moon, this represents looking at the reflection of the moon in a lake. It's upside down, and that's just the poetic kanji. Um, okay, so we're getting here. So next is a hand. This X represents a hand, and it's also holding a spear. I mentioned this earlier with ware. So this was a hand with a spear. This is the same idea, hand with a spear. It's just abbreviated on top. This is also a hand with a spear. So when you have a tree here, this means you're planting it, using the spear to plant the tree. This is um, clothing. So when you have clothing, cutting the cloth, same thing as here, cutting here. So you're judging. Hansai. Mmm, maybe. I haven't looked it up yet. That was very interesting. And then you have the car, the carriage. So this is to load. You're loading spears on top of the car. And then here, this one's a little bit more advanced, but we have to stop, and then you have a shrine. And it's basically taking a stop now that it's the new year and you celebrate, you enjoy. So that's the idea of here. Trillion. This is actually somebody throwing a bunch of seed out into the field, so it's just scattering everywhere. So that's trillion. When you have it with the aggressive hand, it's challenge. When you have foot, it means spring, you're springing from your feet. When you have it with the eye, and then you have gaze. So that's the idea of these. And then chol, this is a picture of a man with three hairpins on because he's really old and he has really long hair, kind of like me, I've got long hair, but he's really old. And then he's also walking on a cane. And that's, you see the three pins, the cane, and his legs are here. So this means by itself, long. You have it with, this is a beautiful picture of a bow for a bow and arrow. So what you do with the bow, you stretch it before you shoot it. This is a draped cloth. So a long draping cloth, you would use it to register names because it was really long to register. And then elongated part of the body, swell, inflammation, basically. And then we have here, this represents a block, just in general, like an intersection of streets or whatnot. So you have here with the field, it's a town, fields of intersections. Here you have the head. Now this relates to another kanji story where you place the crown right on top of their head perfectly. So head and intersection, receive. So it represents kind of like being, yeah, having the crown on your head. And then here you have another government office. It's the building of the town, you know. So that's the idea. So yeah, we have two more here and we'll hit 200. So here, this is Shin. So interesting enough, today in not yeah today is we're in the year of the dragon. This is actually a pictograph that they use for a dragon for the year of the dragon, but it also has another meaning. It represents a clam that has a lot of like hair coming out of it as well, and they would use this clam for farming. So this also represents like farming, but so they use this in two different ways, in farming as well as just the dragon as well. So you can take that as you will. But when you have it with the aggressive hand, this means to wave, like to say hello, wave. When you have it with woman, this represents pregnancy. You have this with mouth, this represents lips. And when you have rain, this represents shake. So that's the idea. Now, there's also another theory about this. Again, sometimes when you look into the history of kanji, it gets a little bit messy. But this can also represent this idea of kind of like the mating process. There's a lot of kind of like sensual words here, like lips, shake, pregnancy. So there is a possibility that that can all interrelate in terms of that. But that is conjecture that hasn't really been officially proven. But some people are like, okay, that might be the case. When you know enough of how kanji is put together and how the symbols come together, you start realizing like, oh, there's an underlying philosophy behind it. And that's what happens when you study kanji very quickly. You start realizing like, oh, this is actually, there's a pattern here. So anyway, so this is the last kanji family we'll go through, and then we can talk more about stuff, and I guess I'll also end the recording also. But so this is Shin. So this represents like a mouth, and it's talking, and it says to say basically. Um, Person, you have stretch, and this also can represent like from the heavens to the earth. So we have it with the shrine. So this is God, and then you have it with thread, and this represents the thread represents actually a belt somebody would wear, and he's a gentleman because he's wearing a belt, the obi from a long time ago. Um, so yeah, so that's 200. Before I end this recording, is there anything that you would like to say about like your impressions on this and everything? Mm, mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Cool. Well, thanks for your feedback. I'll just end the recording. Hopefully this helps other people if they watch it, or just so they can see. Mm, cool. No, that's great. We'll see what will happen from it. So, thank you, Andre. Okay.